I am very glad to be here. I was actually here last Thursday. We actually brought a group of students to come visit Grace, and I want to thank you all who hosted. I know many of you hosted some of them in your rooms and hung out last Wednesday night and stuff. So thank you very much for that. They had a great time, and we enjoy bringing students to visit. Yes, my name is Matt Slippy, and my parents named me Matthew, and the name I actually go by is Puma. So feel free to, if you want to say hi to me, just say hi, Puma. There's a story behind that, and I'm not going to share that story. But do you guys like stories? I don't know if you like. You like stories? Okay, that's good. I'm a father of 8 children, and we have a lot of children's books, and so I brought one this morning and thought I would read a story for you. It's a book from one of my favorite children's books. It's The Stinky Cheese Man and Other Fairly Stupid Tales. Emphasis on the word stupid. All right. Some of the titles here is The Really Ugly Duckling, Little Red Riding Running Shorts, Jack's Bean Problem. The title that I like most is The Little Boy Who Cried Cow Patty. It's a good one. But I'm going to read The Stinky Cheese Man to you this morning, and I need you to help me out with the story. There's a part in the story where the Stinky Cheese Man says, "Run, run, run as fast as you can. You can't catch me." And this is where I want you to help me. You all say, "I'm the Stinky Cheese Man." All right, let's practice one more time. Run, run, run. You can't catch me. Run, run as fast as you can. You can't catch me. I'm the Stinky Cheese Man. All right, say it like you mean it. I'm the Stinky Cheese Man. All right, there you go. You'll know where to come in as soon as we get there. All right. This will warm your heart. Okay, here we go. All right. Once upon a time, by the way, there's a Stinky Cheese Man. Okay. All right. So cute. We'll take him home. Maybe not after this story. All right. Once upon a time, there was a little old woman and a little old man who lived together in a little old house. They were lonely. So the little old lady decided to make a man out of stinky cheese. She gave him a piece of bacon for a mouth and 2 olives for eyes and put him in the oven to cook. When she opened the oven to see if he was done, the smell knocked her back. "Phew, what is that horrible smell?" she cried. The stinky cheese man hopped out of the oven and ran out the door calling, "Run, run, run as fast as you can. You can't catch me." I'm the stinky cheese man. There you go. The little old lady and the little old man sniffed the air. "I'm not really very hungry," said the little old man. "I'm not really all that lonely," said the little old lady. So they didn't chase the stinky cheese man. The stinky cheese man ran and ran until he met a cow eating grass in the field. "Wow, what is that awful smell?" said the cow. The stinky cheese man said, "I've run away from a little old lady and a little old man, and I can run away from you too, I can. You can't catch me." I'm the stinky cheese man. The cow gave another sniff and said, "I think I'll just eat weeds." So the cow didn't chase the stinky cheese man either. The stinky cheese man ran and ran until he met some kids playing outside, school outside. "Gross," said a little girl. "What's that nasty smell?" "Well, I've run away from a little old lady and a little old man and a cow, and I can run away from you too, I can. Run, run, run as fast as you can. You can't catch me." I'm the stinky cheese man. There you go. You guys are catching on. All right. The little boy looked up, sniffed the air, and said, "If we catch him, our teacher might probably make us eat him. So let's get out of here." So the kids didn't chase the stinky cheese man either. Well, by and by, the stinky cheese man came to a river with no bridge. All right, you feeling the story kind of climb here? "How will I ever cross this river? It's too big to jump, and if I try to swim across, I'll probably fall apart." Just then, the sly fox, who shows up in a lot of stories like these, poked his head out of the bushes. "Why, just hop on my back, and I'll carry you across, Stinky Cheese Man." "How do I know you won't eat me?" "Trust me," said the fox. So the stinky cheese man hopped on the fox's back. The fox swam to the middle of the river and said, "Oh man, what is that putrid smell?" The fox coughed, gagged, and sneezed, and the stinky cheese man flew off his back and into the river, where he fell apart. The end. Yeah. I love that book. That story, though, reminds me of a story, well, a lot of stories in the Bible, but it reminds me of a very, I think, fatal flaw affecting the American church, and especially us as young people today that grow up in Christian homes or youth groups and even in Christian colleges, institutions like this. There's a story in the Bible, and it's in the Old Testament. And you guys know the story, right? There's a man named Moses. You see a bush. The bush is on fire. God says, I want you to deliver my people. So Moses goes to Egypt, delivers the people out of Egypt, and so they're running, and Pharaoh and his armies are chasing Moses and the Israelites, and they get to the Red Sea, and oh no, what are we going to do? And God is saying, I will be your God. I am your God. I will protect you. I'll take care of you. And they have an interesting story where the waters part, and all of Israel walks across on dry ground, and as soon as the last Israelite touched on the other side, it says that the waters came back over, and the entire Egyptian army drowned in the Red Sea. And so you have at the end of Exodus 14 an interesting verse. I mean, literally, they're standing on the shore, and they're seeing the dead bodies of the Egyptian soldiers washing up on shore. This is what it says. But the Israelites went through the sea on dry ground with a wall of water to their right and to their left. That day the Lord saved Israel from the hands of the Egyptians, and Israel saw the Egyptians lying dead on the shore. And when the Israelites saw the great power the Lord displayed amongst the Egyptians, the people feared the Lord and put their trust in Him. Now, 3 months later, Moses leads them through the wilderness, and they get to a mountain, Mount Sinai. And so a few chapters later, we get to that particular scene. And it says here, on the morning of the third day, there was thunder and lightning with a thick cloud over the mountain and a very loud trumpet blast. All right, so you have the entire nation of Israel. We don't know exactly how many people that was. There could be several million. You get all these people surrounding this mountain, and it says that that morning that there was thunder, there was lightning, thick cloud covered the mountain, a loud trumpet blast, and it says everyone in the camp wet their pants. That's my interpretation. It says they trembled, but I can just imagine everyone. Can you imagine a loud trumpet blast, thunder and lightning, the mountain shakes, and you have this nation of people, they are trembling, they are afraid. Mount Sinai was covered with smoke because the Lord, Yahweh, Almighty God, descended on it in fire. The smoke billowed up from the smoke of a furnace. The whole mountain trembled violently, and the sound of a trumpet grew louder and louder. Then Moses spoke, and the voice of God answered him. The Lord descended to the top of the Mount Sinai and called Moses to the top. So Moses went up, and the Lord said to him, "Go down and warn the people, so that they will not force their way through to see the Lord, and many of them perish. Even the priests who approach the Lord must consecrate themselves, or the Lord will break out against them." Moses said to the Lord, "The people cannot come up here because you yourself warned us. Put limits around it because you have set this mountain apart as holy." The Lord said, "Go down and talk to the people." So Moses went down to the people and told them. And then you get chapter 20 of Exodus, and it says, "And God spoke all these words." And that's where we have the Ten Commandments, there in Exodus chapter 20. God literally audibly spoke the Ten Commandments to the nation of Israel. Right? So they see this mountain is on fire, it is shaking, a loud trumpet blast. They see their God descending upon the mountain. They are scared spitless. We don't know what. And all of a sudden, God speaks. "I am the Lord your God who brought you out of Egypt, out of the land of slavery." Can you imagine? You just imagine yourself there at that moment. You've seen some incredible things. You've seen miracle upon miracle down in Egypt. Some amazing things, and now the mountain is on fire, and God audibly speaks to you. God gives the Ten Commandments that we know them. When the people saw the thunder and the lightning and heard the trumpet and saw the mountain in smoke, they trembled with fear. They stayed at a distance and said to Moses, "Speak to us yourself, and we will listen, but do not have God speak to us, or we will die." Moses said to the people, "Do not be afraid. God has come to test you so that the fear of God will be with you to keep you from sinning. Is the God of the Old Testament the same God that we claim to know today? A concept that we see throughout the Bible is this concept called the fear of the Lord. And you see this all over the Bible. It's in the Old Testament. It's in the New Testament. I mean, we could go to the New Testament to the book of Hebrews, for instance. The writer of Hebrews says, if we deliberately keep on sinning after we have received the knowledge of the truth, no sacrifice for sins is left, but only a fearful expectation of judgment and of raging fire that will consume the enemies of God. Anyone who rejected the law of Moses died without mercy on the testimony of 2 or 3 witnesses. How much more severely do you think a man deserves to be punished who has trampled the Son of God underfoot, who has treated as an unholy thing the blood of the covenant that sanctified him, and who has insulted the Spirit of grace? For we know him who said, it is mine to avenge, I will repay, and again the Lord will judge his people. It is a dreadful thing to fall into the hands of the living God. I think one of the fundamental threads throughout the Bible that is missing in the church today, and especially amongst us as young people, is this concept of the fear of the Lord. Is God up there wanting us to be afraid of Him? He's like, I can't wait to scare the pants off of them. No. But when God spoke the 10 Commandments, the people were afraid because of the scene and what they saw. God said He wants them to have a healthy, reverent respect for who it is that is speaking, so that they will know how to relate appropriately, so that they will not sin. Proverbs 9:10 says, the fear of the Lord is the beginning or the starting point or the prerequisite to wisdom. That there is no wisdom in this room, no matter how much you study the Bible, if you do not have a posture of one who fears the Lord. Because that is the starting point, prerequisite to being wise. Psalm 147, he says that God does not take pleasure in horses. He does not take pleasure in the strength of men. God takes pleasure in people who fear Him, who trust in Him. So what is this concept of fear of the Lord? Because I think we need to really understand what this is so we can understand how we are to relate. The fear of the Lord is really sort of a relational term. It's not like horror films where God wants us to be scared and all this kind of stuff. Fear of the Lord allows us to be in proper relationship. I would describe it 2 ways. One, the fear of the Lord is having a humble submission to God's authority. There's one God, and He's not sitting in your chair this morning. That same God in the Old Testament is the same God that we serve in the New Testament. And He has said that He alone is God and He is holy, and He must deal with each and every sin. Therefore, have a healthy submission to me so that it will go well with you. Having a humble submission to God's authority. And the second part of that, I think, is an obedient trust in His Word. He's saying, submit, recognize who I am, and listen to what I say. Now, I grew up near Niagara Falls. Anyone been to Niagara Falls? Niagara Falls? Good, both of you. Okay, good, all right. Niagara Falls. We went to Niagara Falls all the time. I remember one time my cousins came, and he came to the door and hadn't seen him in a couple of years. And the first thing he did, he didn't say, hey, cousin, glad to see you. He comes in the house, and the first thing he says is, when are we going to see the falls? All right, when are we going to go see Niagara Falls? Pretty impressive, but we were there all the time. And it got to be a point where it was no big deal. I mean, we'd drive right past the falls or go over there, and I wouldn't even turn and look at this incredible natural wonder in our world. I mean, did you know that 750,000 to 1 million gallons of water go over Niagara Falls every second? Every second. It's about a 150-foot drop. The Canadian side, the Horseshoe Falls, is about a half a mile long. It's incredible. On the American side, they have this called Goat Island. You can actually go on it. And you literally can go. You got the cliff that goes straight down, and you got all these tiers are Niagara. The water going right there. You can literally stand right at this point and you can almost reach over and touch the water and almost look straight down 150 feet as the water's going down. It's incredible. It's incredible. Now, when you are at Niagara Falls, you don't go there to boost your self-esteem. You go there to worship. You go there to worship, and there's a certain authority there at Niagara Falls, right? One authority is gravity, all right? Another is thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of gallons of water rushing at very high speeds that will sweep up anything in its path. There's an authority there, and it doesn't matter how much you desire to rebel against that authority. If you do, you are going to get caught up in that. There is an authority there, and as long as you are in right posture to the authority there, you're safe. There are signs posted, around there. So don't swim in the water, okay? Don't throw your friends into the river just for fun. Don't. I lived on an island a little further back called Grand Island. Niagara River went around my island and then over Niagara Falls a few miles down. And on the north side of my island, there were actually signs posted in the river, "Do not boat past this line." At the back end of my island, the current was about 4 miles an hour. By the time it went around, it was about 8 to 10 miles an hour. And that's the current is going pretty fast. And 4 miles an hour is a healthy, brisk walk. 10 is kind of a nice run. That's the current of all this water. There's signs posted. If you do not obey the signs, what's going to happen? If you don't obey the law laid down, what's going to happen? You put yourself in peril. You see, we understand that you have a healthy respect when you go to Niagara Falls, a healthy respect for what's there. And you stand there in awe, and you make sure that if you stay within the lines, if you stay within the boundaries, if you just enjoy and participate the way the signs and everything say, it's a very pleasant experience. But if you try to step over the line or cross the boundary or try to rebel against the authority of Niagara Falls and the stated signs and warnings there, you put your life in peril. That's what the fear of the Lord is. God says, "I love you. I alone am God. I am the creator of all things. I said planet, and boom, planets came into being. God said trees, animals. God just spoke. God said, let there be, and there was. God said, I am the everlasting God, the creator of the ends of the earth. I am holy. I am righteous. I am just. I am merciful. I am loving. I am self-sufficient, self-existing. I am omnipotent. I know everything that is and everything possible. I'm omniscient. I'm all-powerful. I'm immutable. I never change. I am God, and I created you, mankind, as my special creation. And so here's how I want you to relate to me so that it will go well with you, so that you will be safe. You need to have a healthy respect for who I am. You need to have a humble submission to my authority, and you need to have an obedient trust in my word. And when you posture yourself like that, you will dwell in safety. You will live safely. That's the kind of I want you to relate to me that way. What is the opposite of having a healthy fear? Well, it sounds a lot like the stinky cheese man, actually. Right? What are some of the characteristics of the stinky cheese man? Right? What are they? He stinks, okay? All right, what else? He's made of cheese? All right, cheese, bacon eyes. All right. He's arrogant. He's proud. He wants to be independent. He's unsubmissive. He's disrespectful. He's haughty. He has a self-inflated view of who he thinks he is. After all, who is he? He is the stinky cheese man. Are you a stinky cheese man? Am I a stinky cheese man? that's really the question that I want to leave with you today. Because I am convinced that there is a God who knows us and loves us. I mean, after all, where are you this morning? You're at Grace University. I mean, you're in chapel. We're picking up the Bible. God is wanting to communicate to you. You get to write exegetical papers. How awesome is that? Huh? Isn't that awesome? Yeah, woo! Yeah, preach it. Yeah. Um, you, you get to study the Bible. You get to be in a community of people that want to encourage you to walk right with Almighty God. Why do you think God doesn't love you this morning? Because do you deserve to be here? No. Do you deserve to have the Bible as truth given to you? No, you don't deserve that. In the book of Amos, and we're not going to go there, but as Amos is, God says, Amos, go tell the people. He says, okay. And so God says, tell the people that a famine is coming. But it's not going to be a famine of bread and water. It's going to be a famine of the word of the Lord. Time's coming when I'm going to remove my word from the people, and they're no longer going to be able to hear my voice. And that is going to be a dreadful, terrible time if God removes His truth from us. You guys get to hang out here and get to enjoy that. How is your posture before God? Last week when I was here, and the theme for this year is we're all in, right? Is that what we're doing? All in. You see, we're all in, but we're all in under our own terms. A lot of times, I'm all in for you, God, as long as I get to decide how I'm all in. As long as I get to decide where I'm going. As long as I get to decide how far I go. As long as I get to decide the parameters of that. That is not a posture of one who has a reverent fear of the Lord. That's not someone who humbly submits to God's authority or one who has a obedient trust in His Word. That's somebody who is wanting to be like a sneaky cheese man, dictate the boundaries and the parameters. And I think that's an issue that is affecting us as people today. The words that I read in Psalm 147. So how much time we got there? 5 minutes? All right. Psalm 147 says, great is our God and mighty in power. His understanding has no limit. The Lord sustains the humble, but casts the wicked to the ground. Sing to the Lord with thanksgiving. Make music to our God on the harp. He covers the sky with clouds and supplies the earth with rain. He makes the grass grow on the hills. He provides food for the cattle and for the young ravens when they call. His pleasure is not in the strength of horses, and His delight is not in the legs of men. God